Okay, hey everyone, it is time for another Remington's Ramblings, okay? And just to let people know, it's called Remington's Ramblings because this is the one video series that I allow myself to just ramble on and go on or off topic as I choose, okay? Okay, got a lot of stuff in the notebook, but I'm going to concentrate on movies this time, okay? Movies. Got a bunch of different topics to cover, so let's get right to it. Okay. Alright. First one is crap low budget movies do. Alright, so I don't know how many of you out there have watched low budget movies, but there are certain things that low budget movies do that is just total crap. I mean, there's just no reason for it to exist, only to serve their own purposes. And they're low-budget movies because they're made on a shoestring budget. I mean, it's sometimes it's as big as actual name stars getting into these movies because they're interested in the project or a friend of theirs is making it, and it can go all the way down to just like it's a bunch of people who know each other and have a camera and some free time and a little bit of money, and so they decide to make a movie. But there are certain things that some low-budget movies do which is just total crap. I'm going to say the biggest offender in my book is the extended opening credits. And when I say extended opening credits, I mean stretching out the opening credits by having someone's name up there on the screen, and it just stays there. And stays there, and stays there, like, for probably like a good 10 seconds until it finally fades out. And let's say that that's like, the name of one of the people who's playing like a main character. So it's like one of their stars. And when I say star, I mean a nobody who has a lot of screen time in the movie. Because that's what you are. You're a nobody. I've seen, a low-budget movie that had Cuba Gooding Jr. in it. I don't know how they got Cuba Gooding Jr., but they got Cuba Gooding Jr. Okay, if you're making a low-budget movie and you are able to get Cuba Gooding Jr., go ahead. Have his name up there. I mean, that's your star power right there. You got a name actor. Okay, go ahead. Make his name last 10 seconds. I'm going to laugh at you for it, but, at least it's warranted. But if you have someone like, it's Travis Gordon. Travis Gordon is a guy I know. It's just the first name that popped in my head. But let's say that, the guy who's playing your main character, his name is Travis Gordon. You put Travis Gordon up there and it lasts for 10 seconds. No one knows who Travis Gordon is. He's a nobody. Put his name up there for 3 seconds and then fade out. Fade out. Travis Gordon gets all of 3 seconds because he's a nobody, okay? We don't want to have to sit here through your crappy movie any longer than we have to, alright? Put Travis Gordon's name up there for 3 seconds, then fade out to another name, alright? The big offender on this that I can distinctly remember was a movie called Transmorphers 2. That was a total crock of shit. It was a horrible movie. And I encourage people to go and watch it just so they can laugh at it, because it is just that bad. But yeah, they had their name actors up there for like probably a good 8 or 10 seconds. And they're a bunch of nobodies. Alright, so if you're making a low budget movie, put people's names up there for 3 seconds, fade out to another one, okay? They're nobodies. They are nobody. If they become somebody far off in the future, well then they can look back on that and say, oh, that was like my, my first movie. And, my name was up there for all of 3 seconds. Well, you know what? In the big budget Hollywood movies, you're going to have, a huge name actor's name up there on the screen for, maybe 5 seconds, alright? Because, Hollywood movies, they don't have to prove anything. But these low-budget movies seem to think that they have to. Alright, so there you go. Don't have people's names up on the screen. if you're writing a story for a low-budget movie, try to explain the backstory, you know? Don't just leave us hanging and tripping through plot holes the size of Texas, okay? Alright, next thing about movies. Lame movie cliches. This one goes right alongside the Americans' impassioned speech in Hollywood movies. Alright, this one happens a lot. A lot. Like, the last time I can really distinctly remember this happening was in that movie 2012, which was made in 2011, about how the world was supposed to end on December 21st, 2012, you know? And so, you know, if you haven't seen the movie, I'm going to ruin it for you, and trust me, you know, the movie's total crap. So, don't worry about me ruining it for you. But basically, the world is going to end, and basically I guess scientists or whatever know that, like, meteor is going to come down and hit Earth, and like the tectonic plates are going to shift so massively that entire cities that are attached to land are going to slide into the ocean, and basically the entire world is going to get flooded. And so they built like a whole bunch of boats, these really big, massive ships in China. And the people who were in charge of this say, "Oh, we've selected, you know, the finest human beings to survive." And when they say the finest human beings, they really mean the people, the really super rich people who contributed a bunch of money to get this project underway, to get these ships built. So since they contributed so much money, they get to survive, unlike everyone else, including the Chinese people that constructed the ships. So here are all these Chinese dock workers that have just finished building all these ships, and then, you know, all the people from all over the world, mostly Americans, but from all over the world, get on the ships, hit the button, and the doors close, leaving all the Chinese people out there trapped to die. So there's this one guy, an American guy, who makes this, he gets on the PA for the entire fleet, and like makes this really impassioned speech about how, you know, how are we supposed to, you know, how are we supposed to set an example for those of the future, for those that survive, when we are so greedy that, you know, we blah 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 blah, you know, the whole 9 yards. You can imagine all the crap he says, and everyone just sits there quietly listening to what he says. And then finally, when his impassioned speech is done, this one lady who I guess was supposed to be like, I don't know, head of the UN or president of the United States, some crap like that, she gets on the PA and she says, "Let everyone in." Yeah, right. If this was real life, you know what would happen. Yeah, they would all just wait until he was done blowing steam, and then she would say, "Take him into custody. Do not open the doors." That's what would happen. That is what would happen, and we all know it, alright? So the Americans' impassioned speech in Hollywood movies is a major Hollywood cliche, and I absolutely hate it. Another Hollywood cliche that seems to happen a lot is when you go to these teenage coming-of-age type of movies. I remember this happening in Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. Now, I know this happens in other movies, but this is the one that I went and saw this in theaters, and I saw it happen, and I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. Are you really doing that? Here comes Percy Jackson. He goes into, like, you know, the camp of, like, all the demigods and stuff, and then he looks over and he sees this one chick, and she's sword fighting against all these guys, and he just stopped. He's like, "Oh." And I'm like, are you kidding me? Really? Seriously? Oh my gosh. How many times have I seen this happen in a movie? How many times have I seen it happen in a movie? It is just absolutely insane. Nearly every single teenage coming-of-age movie has some crap like that, where it's always like, just, he's like, the main character guy sees some girl, and he's like, oh, I'm like, oh, really? Are you fucking serious? Again, you can't be original. You got to go with the cliches. Yep, they got to go with the cliches. Another one was something like I Am Number 4. When you see that blonde that like that he meets when he goes to that new school, and I'm like, oh, great, here we go. He's gonna get with her. Sure enough, he does. We see her a little later on in the movie, like when he's kind of getting to know her, and we see her like sitting on this on the grass outside the school, and guess what she was doing? She was writing in a notebook, and I was like, and it was like a personal notebook, and I'm like, please, please, please do not let her be writing poetry. Please, for the love of God, do not let her be writing poetry. Thankfully, they didn't tell us what she was writing, but I'm willing to bet dollars to donuts she was writing poetry. Alright, so there's another lame movie cliche that I hate. Okay, why I hate cultural movies. This is another one that really pisses me off. The cultural movies. Basically, you take like a family from some odd place in the world. Let's say they're from Africa, or India, or Bulgaria, or something, one of the Middle Eastern places, and the family moves over to the U.S. or to England, and now they, and then, they have like a young child. And now the person is in their late teens or early 20s, and the family wants them to carry on the family traditions. And obviously, this person, although they were raised by a family that had immigrated from whatever country, they grew up in this country that was immigrated to. Now they, they don't care about whatever it was that they did back there. They're interested in music, fashion, movies, pop culture, all that stuff. But the family's like, no, 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 no. That is not our way. Our way. And, and basically you have the kids saying, that is your way. That is their way. It's not my way. And there's this whole tug of war going on where they're like, I feel responsibility for my family and my culture, but at the same time, it's not really what I want to do. Movie that comes to mind immediately is Bend It Like Beckham. I have never seen this movie. Never. But my dad rented the movie from the library, so the DVD was sitting there, and I picked it up and I looked at it, and I'm like, Bend It Like Beckham. Who the heck is Beckham? And then my mom explains that Beckham was some like soccer player in the UK and stuff. And I'm like, And she says it's a cultural movie. And I'm like, oh, okay. Let me guess. You don't even have to tell me. Let me guess. She wants to play soccer, and the family doesn't want her to because it's not their cultural heritage way and all that crap. And I was correct. I have not seen the movie, but, that's basically how the movie went. She wants to play soccer. The family doesn't want her to, so she goes and does it anyway. Blah, blah, blah. The whole 9 yards. It's kind of like romance movies, like romantic comedies. I was dating this one girl named Rachel years ago, and she told me that, she had gone to see this one movie. I hadn't seen it. I knew it was a chick flick. So I'm like, wait. Don't tell me the plot. I'm going to go ahead and try and guess it. All right? Now tell me if I'm correct. All right? There's some young woman living in LA or New York City, and she is a strong, independent woman. And she happens to come across one day some guy that she doesn't exactly like, but for some reason she keeps bumping into him. And so they form a, kind of like a love-hate relationship. But eventually something kind of bad happens to her, and he kind of was in the area, and he jumps to her rescue, and now she kind of likes him. And so they start going out, but then something happens in the relationship where, one or both of them get really pissed off, and they decide to split up. But, after a while, they start thinking about things, and then in the end, they decide to get back together, and, and they lived happily ever after the end. Am I right? And she says, yeah, that's basically what happened. Really? We couldn't see this coming. Holy crap. It's formula, people. Formula. And you keep and stupid idiots keep eating it up. Oh my gosh. Okay. What else is there in movies? Killed by the kid who couldn't. This doesn't happen all the time in movies, but it does happen often enough that I now call it a cliche. I call it killed by the kid who couldn't. There's this one movie, I don't remember the name, it's kind of like a Western, but it was made, I think, in the early 90s, where basically, there's this guy and this woman. They're not married, but they are, friends, and they kind of depend on one another. And they need to go somewhere, to some city, to do something. And they're going to come back. But, the woman, she has a little girl from some previous marriage, and obviously the husband is dead. So they tell the girl, stay here, here's some food, here's some people down the road, friends of ours that you can go to if you need help. Don't follow us. It is going to be very dangerous. Do not follow us. What do you think she does? She goes to the friend's house and she stays there and they all live happily ever after. No! She follows them like a dumbass. Of course. What else was she going to do? So she follows them, and by the time they figure out that she's followed them, it's too late to turn back. So they got to bring her along, and I swear to God, I'm not even making this up. There is I think a 10-minute sequence in the movie where it shows all the crap that they have to go through during this journey. There's this big torrential rainstorm, the river is rising, mud is falling into the river, and it seems like every 3 minutes this girl was getting into trouble. Her life was seriously in jeopardy. They're running along and it's raining really hard and the river's rising. We got to get to shelter or something. And well, of course the kid slips and falls, goes into the river. Ah, help me, help me. So the guy, of course, he needs to jump into the river and rescue her, pull her back out. 3 minutes later, she's in danger again from something. Ah, help me, help me. The guy's got to go in and save her again. Ah, help me, help me. He's got to go and save her again. I swear, I'm not even making it up. I'm not making it up. Within 10 minutes, her life is in danger 3 separate times because she was so stupid that she couldn't stay at home. And then there's other movies where there's a little kid in it and there's some kind of really big, dangerous thingamabob happening. And the kid, the kid, of course, can't keep up, or the kid can't do this, the kid can't climb, the kid can't swim, the kid can't whatever. So some guy's got to jump down there and save the kid, and then that guy dies. You've all seen it happen. All of you have seen it happen in one movie or another. I call it killed by the kid who couldn't. They couldn't climb. They couldn't swim. They couldn't whatever. And someone ends up dying for it. But the kid lives. The kid lives. I think the kid should die. I'm not risking my life. That's not my kid. I don't care about them. Go ahead and die. I'm not putting my life on the line. Nope, 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 nope. Not happening. Okay. You know what? I think that is about all I have for movies. Yeah. So, I'm going to leave you all with that. I'm sure that many of you can agree with the things that I've talked about for the past 20 or so minutes. If you have any suggestions for future Remington's Ramblings, go ahead and leave them down in the comments below. And if I think they're good enough, I'll write them down on my notebook and I'll get to them at a future date. That is all I have for you this time, and I am signing out.